and so when I saw the pieces, I wasn't sure if it was photography or 3D images. So tell us more about how you created these images.
So I wouldn't say I've created it. I would say I collaborated with AI. It's a pretty big topic currently, but how I see AI basically is that you become a creative director. So you start thinking up like the thing that you want to see, and AI helps you with sketching that visually. You can do that with multiple kind of tools.
And was this something you made in one tool or multiple?
I played around with multiple tools to kind of see like what the outcome was and what I liked the most. And yeah, I had to basically describe the whole idea of the pictures,
Right.
of the visuals, and use that then to, you know, edit out what I didn't want, what I wanted in,
So it's really
change the
like
colors.
a collaborative effort. You can't
Yeah.
just have like a final image in your mind. You kind of start with a single prompt and then go from there?
Yeah, it basically starts with knowing what you want to describe. So you start thinking up like what's the thing that I really want to see, and then you start testing out different types of cameras because you have to describe the type of camera that you use, the type of lens, the lighting, the background, foreground, like what is happening exactly, who's your subject, because if you say person and you don't say black person, then it will be a white person. And if you don't say black woman, it will be a black man. So it just has certain biases that come from human nature that you kind of have to fight against in a way to create the image that you truly want.
Right. So it challenges you to be super specific because instead of starting with specific tools, okay, I have access to this camera, this is what the photo is going to be, you have everything to your disposal. It could be any type of person, and you have to decide what the AI creates and how much that fits what you had in your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And Shaquille, you
So the message, the reason why I developed this talk is because the topic of inclusion isn't always popular. You know, if it's like kind of like if you do this talk in a room of like 200, so sorry, white men, they're not so happy with me. So I try to put it into a different jacket, you know. And so I started with this talk called Tech We Trust, and there we talk about the fifth industrial revolution. And during that talk, I kind of move them towards diversity and inclusion, but I do it in a way that they don't see it coming. So it's like I talk about the seven tech revolutions. Where does it come from? How do we look at these different technologies? It's based on culture, region, religion. Then I go into the trends, like what can you anticipate on? You know, so people get really excited. This is where the money is at. And then I'm like, but there's also a dark side.
dun dun dun.
Exactly. And so the dark side are all these different risks that are aligned with each different technology when it comes to the environment, exploitation of people, marginalized groups. There's so many things. Me and him just also had a talk about that are just terrible. They are absolutely terrible. And then I, in the end, present also a framework for how we could solve that. And I kind of like trick them because I'm like, who here wants to solve that? Raise your hand. And everyone's like, I want to solve it. I want to solve this.
Because
I'm
they're,
like,
okay. they're sweating at this point.
They're sweating. Because I also introduce a lot of like these textbook examples of scandals of companies. You know, I'm like, remember Amazon? Remember what Amazon did? That could be you. It could be you. And everyone is like, oh my God, we got to fix this. And so in the
how
end,
did they fix it?
That's the question.
Well, the artists that I come into contact with at the museum, they are all dealing with digital identity. That's what it's about. It's really about the makers of today, like using the tools of today to express themselves. And like Shaquille was saying, it really is a timestamp. And what I also notice is that the questions are the same, like the age-old questions of that were used in mythology, for example, like who are we, why are we here? Like these fundamental questions, they stay the same, like from classical paintings all the way until now. It's just now we have different tools to really express it in new ways. So the form changes and evolves, but the human questions remain the same. So I think that if anything is noticeable about what people are creating or the the creatives that I have seen. It's that they're asking the same questions that all creators ask, just in a different time and with different tools.
So you're saying some of the themes are the same, and what would you say is are unique opportunities that are that make digital artists at this time distinct? What are some of the tools that they can use that you're fascinated by?
Well, I think what makes storytelling today distinct is that with these tools in people's hands, there is an opportunity to tell our own stories and to have like a more diverse range of stories. Because with, for example, classical paintings, like, you know, the paint brushes and the expensive oils ended up in the hands of only like a certain kind of person,
Right.
with a certain upper echelon access, usually white and usually male. Those are the names that we know. But today, you're seeing much more women creators, much more creators of color, who who have access to the internet, who have access to YouTube and can educate themselves via tutorials, open source software that's available like Blender. Another thing that's notable is that a lot of creators today grew up with video games, so they already have been used to seeing themselves represented on screen via a representative, a digital version of themselves. So it makes it easier to imagine themselves as an avatar and really carry that forward. So I think, the gamers are really, it's their turn. And,
Right.
And they're making themselves the main player. And I think that is something that's in our social dynamic anyway right now. Main character energy, you know.
Yes. Shaquille, what about you? When you think about inclusivity and what's your view and your hope for people?
I think with Web 3.0, with a more decentralized kind of future, you probably get more of opportunity to kind of do things yourself in a way. So I've always kind of been more of a rebellious type where people kind of saw my designs and said, like, you should get a job in Mercedes or try to do something like that, where I was always like, I don't care about them. So I just wanted to have like my own version of things and wanted to have like my own control. And I think that that is something that might, with technology and also more opportunities for people to kind of earn a living off of that art with just NFTs and blockchain, the stuff that will kind of come along. I think that there will be more of opportunity for people to kind of express themselves without borders or without kind of having walls or to detain themselves. So I think that is something that is good for the future. I think art will have just a lot of different venues of people that can kind of enjoy it. If you want to have like a different art piece in your metaverse house or something, you can then swap it out. And that is also something that I'm looking forward to. I'm also doing a couple of projects with artists where I will be creating like virtual museums and stuff, where I actually take like real world art and try to convert it into 3D pieces.
And you also did that for OSCAM, right?
Yes, so there's also on the OSCAM website, there's actually like a virtual museum that you can visit where you can walk through this actual exhibition with a couple of additional art pieces in there too. We also have a couple of artists that are here that have digital pieces. Also like Tevin's artists in there. But that is also something that I'm looking forward to more, is actually like 3D scanning statues and art pieces where you can also take real world art and take it into the digital space, to also enable artists that use their hands in a way to still benefit from
To still be part of that digital world.
space.
Wow.
Yeah, because I think that that is something that is kind of like that human touch, that element that a computer won't give you, even though I'm a computer kind of digital artist.
Right.
That identity of having something that is like a one-off, or like that human, that or those hours of input and that labor that kind of goes into that is something that you don't get from the digital space. So in order to kind of maintain that and keep everything alive to where people can still benefit from that, I'm really like doing a bunch of research into how to convert real world art into digital pieces in a very good way. So
Right.